Hello, everyone. I'm Congresswoman Nikema Williams, and I proudly represent Georgia's 5th Congressional District. Thank you for tuning in on whatever platform you are watching with us today. Be sure to follow us on our social media sites, Facebook at Rep. Nikema Williams and Rep. Nikema on Twitter and Instagram. We want to make sure that you are connected to us and getting all of the information on what is happening in Congress. I'm having conversations with government leaders throughout the 5th District about infrastructure and infrastructure plans throughout the 5th. Why? Because y'all, I'm a member of the House Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure, and President Biden signed into law the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, also known as the Bipartisan Infrastructure Bill. Y'all, that bill will deliver $12.3 billion. That's billion with a B. In investments to Georgia. And also because the infrastructure work that I do in Washington delivers real results for people of the 5th District. And that's in no small part because of local leaders who are in charge of so many of these projects. While these projects are powerful, sometimes they don't get talked about often enough. So today, for our conversation, we're going to talk with one of those leaders about infrastructure. Joining me today is Rob Pitts, the chairman of the Fulton County Board of Commissioners. Fulton County is the majority of Georgia's 5th District. So what Fulton does with its infrastructure will have a huge impact on the 5th District. Chairman Pitts, thank you for joining us today and all that you've done over your career to continue to lead. And I don't want to just say how long you've been around, but when I first moved to Atlanta in 2002, you were already well established as a local leader. So we got a lot that we can learn. So to get things started, where can people find you and the Fulton County Commission online? Because I want them to come to you, not just me. I want them to know where to find you. I
understand. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me, and so proud of the job that you're doing, and just look forward to many, many more years of your service. And I'm a constituent of yours and happy to vote for you again and again and again. So the direct answer to your question is, I mean, the Fulton County website is really the best source of information about the Board of Commissioners and what we're doing here at Fulton County. And that's fultoncountyga.gov/commissioners with an S. Let me repeat that. fultoncountyga.gov/commissioners with an S. That's the best way to find out what's going on here in Fulton County, which is a big deal.
Excellent. And I know that you've got a busy day and I got to go and get in this carpool line to pick Carter up from school. So let's go ahead and get started. I always say that I'm working to demystify Congress, and y'all, that means that I get to work with partners like Chairman Pitts at every level of government. Chairman Pitts, I've talked to mayors all over the district about city level infrastructure, but you're my first discussion with the county commission chair.
Right.
So that means that Clayton and DeKalb, they got to step their game up because you're first. So can you talk a little bit about what infrastructure projects Fulton County has in the works and what might be different from infrastructure work in the cities? So what is the county doing that as opposed to the differences in what the cities are doing?
All right, that's a great question. Let me try to answer that succinctly. So Fulton County Public Works provides services to the residents that most cities do not provide themselves. So we do things that cities do not do from a public works point of view. Now, this includes providing drinking water to meet most of the Fulton County's residents' needs and businesses north of the Chattahoochee River. Fulton County is also responsible for most of the sanitary sewer collection systems and treatment facilities outside of the city of Atlanta. And also, and lastly, The Public Works Department operates and maintains the Fulton County Executive Airport on Fulton Industrial Boulevard. And by the way, we're doing a major renovation to that airport, and no disrespect to my good friend, the CEO of DeKalb County, but we're going to be bigger and better than Peachtree DeKalb Airport.
I'll make sure I let him know that when I do my conversation with him.
We have a $125 million expansion going on out there of that airport, including relocating our animal service facility out there, which is of that 125 million, 28 to 30 of that will be a brand new world-class animal facility.
Wow, I've heard a lot about the relocation of that facility, so I'm sure that is something that a lot of constituents would like to know about. And just listening to you talk about like the sewer and the water infrastructure, those are things that you don't really think about unless something goes wrong. And that's when you don't want to think about it. So I appreciate the work that Fulton County does to make sure that I don't have to think about those things in my day-to-day life. But just share with us, what is Fulton County's biggest infrastructure project or the most immediate priority? I know everyone in Metro Atlanta is trying to solve traffic issues, and I've worked with the city of East Point on their new water treatment facility, but what is the most immediate priority for Fulton County?
Okay, it is another great question. People always think about transportation, and transportation is a problem, but you're so correct. If you don't have water and those toilets don't flush, you got a problem. That's where we come in. But we're currently expanding our Big Creek water treatment, wastewater treatment plant. That facility serves Roswell, Alpharetta, and the western portion of Johns Creek. And that's in order to be able to treat 32 million gallons a day of wastewater. Now,
that's a lot of water.
That's a lot of water. Now, that expansion should serve those areas through 2050. Our next focus will be at upgrading and improving and expanding our sanitary sewer system in South Fulton County. We got Fulton County is 72 miles long. The North County, the city of Atlanta in the middle, and South County in the south. Currently, our Public Works has plans to extend the sanitary sewer system into the areas of the city of South Fulton and Chattahoochee Hills, where sewer does not currently exist. And most people don't know that, but their sewer does not currently exist in those areas. Then, by the end of the decade, we will be expanding the Camp Creek treatment facility to be able to treat about 40 million gallons a day. Now, Fulton County also needs to expand our airport runway. I talked about the airport and the expansion that's going on out there. A lot of private jets are located out there. But currently, our runway is a little under 6,000 feet long and allows planes to reach the West Coast and the Caribbean from here. But if we could expand the length from that 6,000 to approximately 7,000 feet, that will allow those same planes to be fully fueled to reach all of Europe. So right now, if you want to go from our airport to Europe, you have to leave our airport, go to Hartsfield, get more gas, and then go across the water. But if we're able to expand, and I'm certain that we will, from the 6,000 feet to 7,000 feet, you'll be able to leave our airport and reach any place in Europe.
So you were not playing when you were talking about this airport expansion.
Absolutely not.
This is all stuff that is helpful for me as I'm hearing from constituents and sharing information. I can share what is happening directly in their backyards in Fulton County. As I mentioned in my opening remarks, the infrastructure deal, it is massive and it is a once in a generation investment. And in the first round of funding alone, Georgia will receive over $2 billion in investments for all kinds of things like road and bridge repairs, sewer system upgrades, money for public transportation. And those are just a few of the things. So I know you got your wish list ready. Oh, yeah. So what are the things that Fulton County might use some of this money for?
Well, again, we do have a wish list like everybody else, and my role first is the money, to make sure that whatever money we have, whether it comes from the taxpayers or whether it comes from y'all in Washington, is to use it wisely for the benefit of our citizens. So to answer your question directly, our focus will be using those funds to expand the sanitary sewer system in South Fulton, as well as some of the improvements. as I talked about in the Fulton County Executive Airport. Now, we will also be very active with Georgia Department of Transportation, the ATL and MARTA, in identifying improvements to the state highway system and transit routes that serve all of Fulton County. And in that light, of particular interest to Fulton County is expanding transit along Georgia 400, and the state has been very helpful with us so far. That's north of the North Spring station along the top end of 285. But also, more importantly, because right now, as we speak today, hadn't been a lot of activity on the south side, but some of that money is going to go to improvements along Roosevelt Highway and the South Fulton Parkway, which is desperately needed. Because from my perspective, and I always say this, Fulton County is a big deal. We're one of the top counties of the 3,000 plus in the United States. But our growth, our future in Fulton County, in my judgment, humbly in my judgment, is South Fulton County. North County is pretty well developed, but South Fulton County, tremendous room for growth, open land. The land is still cheap. You got a great constituency there that's very well-educated workforce. So that's where my focus is going forward. No disrespect intended for North Fulton County, but the need and the future growth in Fulton County is South Fulton County, in particular along Roosevelt Highway and the South Fulton Parkway.
Well, I know in my state Senate seat, I used to represent a lot of the South County, as a lot of the seniors and legacy residents call it South County. And so I would hear a lot about road improvements and on those corridors. So I appreciate you giving them a little extra attention, because sometimes we have to go where the needs are. And so as we continue to talk about this historic infrastructure project, and we know that this is the largest single investment ever that the federal government has made in infrastructure. So what does it mean for the people of Fulton County to have a White House and a Congress that are finally making these decades overdue improvements and investments in infrastructure?
Well, you're absolutely right about that. And I could not be any prouder of Georgia, the state of Georgia, for what it did in the recent election. But in the state of Georgia is Fulton County. And that I don't want to make this political, but we were able to deliver 2 U.S. senators and, of course, you. And that made a huge difference for the state of Georgia and the people of Fulton County. But just think where we would be, but for the job from an election point of view that Georgia did in sending 2 U.S. senators to Washington from the state of Georgia, and of course, our president. But without their support and your support, and without the federal investments into our infrastructure, the cities and the county have had in the past to fund a lot of these projects with local dollars. Now, new sales taxes like T-SPLOST program and others, or through bonding. But the funds that the infrastructure bill will be providing Fulton County will allow us to continue serving our residents by maintaining and expanding our infrastructure without having to completely fund the projects ourselves, relying on our tax dollars. So thanks to you, our 2 senators, and all of those who supported that piece of legislation. We are forever and will be forever indebted to you here in Fulton County, and in particular, South Fulton County.
Well, I like to hear that, the service piece and the work that you're doing, and that is not going to be an increase in taxes that you have to do in Fulton County. So I thank you for having this conversation today, Chairman Pitts. And I know that everyone in Fulton County thanks you for everything that you're doing, especially that not raising the taxes piece. So we are grateful, and I know that you've got to run to an event, but I am grateful for the time that you've spent with us. And I don't want to make you late, but I just want you to know that I'm always here for you, for the people of Fulton County, as we continue to serve the district that I am proud to represent in Congress. So if there is ever anything that I or my office can do, know that we are here to serve right alongside you. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much for having me, and I look forward to continuing to work with you.
Absolutely. Have a great day.